Hello, this is Dr.Natrell. What brings you in today? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another great video. Today, we'll be going over the round of 32 World Cup matchups, going over all 16 games, going over who I believe will win, why I believe they will win, things of that nature. Before we get into that, would you please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your opinions and thoughts on these predictions, and let me know who you guys have winning the World Cup. Without further ado, let's get straight into these 16 games. Starting off with the first game of the round of 32, we have South Africa taking on Canada. Now, both teams didn't look the best in their respective groups. South Africa got embarrassed by Mexico, which is a good side, so fair to them. But they tied Czechia. They beat South Korea. Canada's basically in the same boat. They had a great win against Cater, but that may say more to Cater being bad than Canada actually being good. Playstyle wise, Canada doesn't usually hold a low block, unlike South Africa, who loves to play a low block. Canada is more of a possession team, so it'll be interesting to see if they can break down their low block, which they don't have the offensive talent to break down their low block, in my opinion. So this game really may not be that entertaining to watch based off of those optics, but I think the X factor for South Africa is their defense. Every game so far that their defense has had a positive rating, they've gained points, whether that be a tie or a win. So as they'll go as far as that defense can carry them. And that's an X factor for Canada being Jonathan David, only player that can score consistently. That is, he only scored in one game, but he had the hat trick. So that's what I have for their X factors. And I have Canada winning this one in a scrappy 2-1 victory. Now, Brazil has looked great in their group stage after their first game blunder. Now, you can say it's because they played worse competition, which I'd agree. That is pretty fair. You know, Scotland and Haiti aren't a good team. Morocco is leagues better than Haiti or Scotland. However, you know, still had to play who's in front of you, which they were able to do so. Japan, however, looked good against the Dutch, the Netherlands. They looked great throughout their group. However, little things with these two teams. Japan seems to struggle with elite attackers. We saw that against the Netherlands and against when they played Sweden. Brazil struggles with teams that counterattack as well. Japan does that exceptionally well. And we saw that when Brazil had to go up against Morocco, and Morocco got them on the counter and scored the goal against them. X factors for Brazil being Vini. Vini has been one of the best players in the tournament so far. He's on 4 goals already, being the best player for Brazil by a wide margin. And the X factor for Japan, their entire team. Japan is moving like a well-oiled machine right now. There's no single player, in my opinion, that sticks out for them because that's just how they play. That's how they roll. They move as one, which is really cool to see. But with all that being said, I have Brazil to win this either 3-1 or 3-2. I just think Brazil's attack is too much for Japan to handle. Next matchup we have is Germany versus Paraguay. Now, Germany are coming into this game with having an easy group where they haven't had to sweat yet, and Paraguay will be no different, in my opinion. Paraguay got smashed by the U.S. and had a scrappy group tie and victory, if I'm not mistaken. And Germany have just too much more talent for them. X factor I have is Verts. He'll have to be a creative engine for this team. X factor for Paraguay is the goalkeeper. I just don't see how Germany doesn't 4-0 this team. Germany has been killing every bad team they've had in their own group, so Paraguay should be no different. I see this being a 4-0. Germany take care of business. Easy peasy. Now let's get to the Netherlands versus Morocco game. Netherlands had a great group stage campaign with tying Japan and dominating their lesser opponents, while Morocco had a fantastic showing against Brazil, and they actually managed to beat the other lesser teams in their division as well. Morocco is a great counterattack team, especially with Hakimi, but I will say this. And when they try to counterattack, Hakimi loves to be forward, as he is their best attacker and defender. If the Netherlands can catch them as Hakimi is forward and they go on their own counterattack, they can easily penetrate their defense, as Hakimi is, once again, just their best player all around. He does so much for the team. X factors for Netherlands. The Netherlands love to play possession, so I believe Frankie de Jong is going to have to dictate the game offensively and defensively. If you recall back the Netherlands, or not the Morocco game versus Brazil, Brazil's midfield, not one of the best midfields in the world, but still getting dominated off the park by midfielder Boadi, dominating the midfield when the likes of Casemiro are in there. So, in my opinion, the Netherlands have, or Frankie de Jong, as a matter of fact, has to dominate that midfield. They love to play possession. He can't allow the Moroccans to press him off the ball. He's got to dictate the flow of this game. The X factor for Morocco, however, in my opinion, is Hakimi, or you could say Boadi, but I think it's Hakimi. He's their best player. He's going to have to be everywhere on this field, which he will. He's going to play all 90 minutes, give them all he can, and we'll see what he can do But I do have the Netherlands winning 2-1, as I see Morocco just not having enough to beat the Netherlands, as the Netherlands are a really good side. Next matchup being Ivory Coast versus Norway. Ivory Coast had a scrappy defeat against Germany, but that's about it, man. They didn't really have much competition in their other, or any good showings in the rest of their bracket, excuse me. So not much to talk about on their side. However, Norway, on the other hand, thrashed Senegal. They in Iraq, but got embarrassed by Libya. Norway struggles with competitive teams, but can easily kill lesser teams. Ivory Coast does play a low block, so that'll affect Norway as they love to counter, but they can definitely hold possession. From, in my opinion, the X factor for Ivory Coast, I'm not gonna say their defense. I'm gonna go with Diamande, because I feel like Ivory Coast will have to go for it. They'll have to win this game, and he's their best player, a young, great talent, possibly going to Liverpool. Wherever he goes, it's gonna be really great to see him light it up in Europe. But yeah, he's going to have to be their best player. He's going to have to create for them. He's going to have to score for them. He's going to have to press for them as well. He's just going to have to be their everything this game. And I have X Factor being Haaland or Odegaard. I said Haaland because you can't really stop Haaland from scoring. He's a machine. He's a robot. Everyone knows how good Haaland is. But I said Odegaard because Odegaard is their field general. And in the World Cup, he has been outstanding, way better than he has been for when he plays at Arsenal. He's been able to control the tempo. He's been able to press and be in the build-up. So he's just been massive for them. With all that being said, though, I see Norway 3-0ing Ivory Coast. I just don't see this being a competitive game. I think it'll be a slow game. Ivory Coast is slow block. Norway's going to have to find a way to break that down, though. And if they can't, it could still just be a scrappy 1-0 victory. But I see Norway getting 3-0, catch him on the counter as Ivory Coast push forward. They could lose possession, and then Haaland brace or Haaland hat trick. So that's my opinion on this match. France versus Sweden, however, France dominated their group stage. They look like the best team in the world, in my opinion. Sweden only beat a terrible Tunisia side and likely will be destroyed by France. X factor for France. We'll make this quick. Mbappe is the best player in this tournament, the greatest World Cup player of all time, in my opinion. 4 goals already, looking to secure his golden boot and secure his World Cup, his second World Cup in 12 years. He will be looking for more goals throughout this game. I wouldn't be shocked if he had a brace to a hat trick against this terrible Sweden side. So the X factor for Sweden, their goalkeeper. Trying to stop this high-powered offense of France. I see this being a France 4-0. Easy day for France. Little cleanup for getting first place in their bracket. Easy matchup. Then we move on to the next round. But until then, that's what I have for France versus Sweden. Mexico versus Ecuador, though. Mexico has looked really good in this tourney so far. Really good. Undefeated in their group stage, finishing with 9 points in great fashion. Every game has been a Mexico game. They've been looking dominant against their opponents. Host nations are really putting it on, except for Canada. But yeah, Mexico has looked great so far. Ecuador, however, had a great win against Germany, and Germany had their starters in, and they did sub out their starters like the 60th to 70th minute, but still, for the 70 minutes they played, Ecuador had a great game. Scored both goals while their starters were in as well. And the styles really kind of don't clash here, though. Mexico loves to play possession, but they can get into their own low block if need be, while Ecuador is all low block. They love to do a low block, so we're going to have to see Mexico break down this team. It's going to have to be very tactical. We have to see how Mexico approaches this game. They're going to have possession most of the game, and they're going to have to be able to break down Ecuador. So we'll see how that goes for them. My X factors for Mexico is the entire attack. All the forwards have been clicking so well so far. They're going to have to click exceptionally well against Ecuador, as I mentioned, because of that low block that they hold. And I say X factor for Ecuador is Pacho. As I just said, Mexico's offense has been clicking pretty easily. All 5 of the forwards that they facilitate up there have been moving very, very well. So they're going to need one of the best defenders in the world, that being William Pacho, to lock in and secure them. Some stability back there on the defensive side. So that's what I have for that one. And I have this game actually going 1-1, and then Mexico wins on penalties. Now we move on to England versus the DR Congo. England hasn't looked good at all in this tournament, in my opinion, for their standards. Everyone has England as a top 5 team in the world, and they have 7 points in this tournament so far, but none of the games haven't impressed except for the Croatia one. However, the DR Congo isn't a good side. This should be easy work for England. I'm going to assume DR Congo just plays in their traditional low block, which could be problematic for England, as they don't have really any creativity in their midfield to be able to break down a low block, as we've seen so far in the group stage. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But it should be an easy win for England. DR Congo should never really threaten them, in my opinion. X factor for England I have is Jude Bellingham. He's their best player. He always is their best player in the World Cup stage. He's always consistent. Um, Everywhere on the field, defending, offensively, scoring, assisting. He's there. X factor for DR Congo is just their defense. Seeing how long they can hold up in their low block to see how long they can stop England from scoring. But with all that being said, I have England winning 2-0 in a pretty boring game. Now, Belgium versus Senegal. Belgium has been a disappointment once again. Everyone knows the memes are saying Belgium is going to be really good this year. They're saying it for the last 10, 12 years or so. They just never show up. Couldn't beat Egypt or Iran in their group stage, but they did get a big win against New Zealand, but New Zealand's not really good. I will say Senegal have had a very tough group, but stay competitive. Competitive against Norway, competitive against France in the first half, thrashed Iraq. And Belgium isn't really a good side. They love to play possession, and Senegal loves to play their low block, but they can counter. They showed really great counters against Norway and France. Obviously not showing to a lot of success, but the threat of their speed and their attackers is there, so they're pretty formidable foe, especially when they're playing up against Belgium. X factors for Belgium I have, it's got to be Doku. Doku has to wake up and show that he is one of the best wingers in football, at least like top 10 wingers maybe. But that's all you need to be Senegal. Just he hasn't been here at all for the World Cup yet, so it'd be really great if he could show up at some point. And I X factor for Senegal, man, that defense. I really don't think Belgium is a special team, and if Senegal can keep that low block straight and counterattack, and their defense stays consistent, they'll be perfectly fine. And that's why I'm going with Senegal to win this game 2-1. I think Belgium will be upset. Next up, we have USA versus Bosnia. Now, USA has looked phenomenal in this tournament. One of the best teams in the tournament, in my opinion. They've adapted a fantastic European club style of play. Almost like they're gegenpressing. They press mostly the entire game, and they have an elite counterattack led by Captain America himself in Mulligan. With that stuff there, we have a phenomenal team this year. I think we can really go far this year. A lot of great attackers, a lot of great defenders, a lot of great moving pieces, in my opinion. And we played better comp than Bosnia, so I see this as being a really good game for us. X factor for USA, Captain America and Mulligan, in my opinion. They are a lot of part of our offense. Mulligan has been phenomenal. And the game that Pulisic did play in, he was sensational, so I think they'll continue to perform very well. And X factor for Bosnia, their defense. Bosnia isn't a special team at all. They're going to have to win by committee if they do beat us, which I don't believe they will. But yes, their defense are the biggest X factors for them in this game. With that being said, I do have USA winning in a dominant fashion, 3-0. Easy win for USA as we move on to the next round. Next game up, we have Spain versus Austria. Now, Spain hasn't looked good at all, really, this entire group stage, in my opinion. It seems as if no creativity. Their injuries are a problem. I will say this. Without Nico Williams, they look really bad. And I know Nico isn't a Lamine Yamal caliber player, but you can tell how different they are when they're both on the field compared to when it's just Yamal. Night and day, in my opinion. However, Austria is putrid. They're not really good at all. They really shouldn't pose any threat to Spain. Spain is a powerhouse. They'll thrash them most likely. My X factor for Spain is Lamine Yamal. I mean, if he's not clicking, Spain could lose this game, but I just don't see a world where he isn't. He's their best player. He's one of the best players in the world. When he's on, Spain legit can put 5 past anybody, and I don't see how this game would be any different. And for X factor for Austria, the goalkeeper. Pray for him. He's gonna get pressured and peppered this entire game. Spain will have the ball the entire game. Austria loves to play their low block, especially against dominant teams. So we'll see how that goes for them. And I have Spain. If Nico Williams can play this entire game, I have Spain winning 4-0. Nico Williams on that field with Yamal is borderline unstoppable in Austria, especially against Austria. They have nothing to stop those two. But without Nico Williams, it could be just as simple 2-0 for Spain, as Yamal has to carry them once again to the next round. Next up is a very, very interesting game. Portugal versus Croatia. Now, Portugal has looked so flat in this tournament so far that it's actually pretty embarrassing. Somehow, a midfield with Bruno Fernandes and Vitinha have no creativity at all, constantly passing left and right, constantly passing backwards, and not to mention their attack is terrible as well. Their wingers aren't even European level wingers. Pedro Neto, I don't know how he starts at Chelsea, or I don't know, and Rafael Leao, I don't know how he's getting PT in the big World Cup in 2026. It's just a bad look for Portugal, especially with those attackers. In my opinion, Portugal hasn't had an impressive performance yet this entire World Cup. You should thrash the bad teams. You're a top 3 team in the world in a lot of people's eyes, including mine. You should be able to thrash bad opponents. I'm not going to give you props for doing such, right? And Croatia, on the other hand, have been pretty good for what we know them as. They had a really great first half against England. Obviously, they fell off, and then they started dominating the lesser squads in their bracket. Excuse me. And Portugal just hasn't shown me personally, or really the world, why they should be heavily favored in this matchup at all. Portugal's X factors, however, is their midfield. Again, the names are João Neves, Vitinha, and Bruno Fernandes. In no world should that midfield ever be getting dominated by anybody or getting outworked, getting outdone. It just doesn't make sense. They had to find a way to get the ball to Ronaldo. They have to help him out, as we know he has to be in the box. He's old. He can't run as much. So y'all have to give him a lot of assistance, which shouldn't be a problem when you have Bruno Fernandes, João Neves, and Vitinha. Just shouldn't exist. Anyway, the X factors for Croatia, just as a team, since 2018, they just all been a collectively great team together. They all just work so well together. They're a really great run team. But with all that being said, I'll give the slight edge to Portugal. I'll say 2-1 Portugal, but they've looked so bad. Like it. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me at all if Croatia just upsetted them. If they upsetted them 2-1 Croatia, 2-0 Croatia, 1-0 Croatia. It's just Portugal have not shown any reason to have the utmost faith in them, but they have too much talent compared to Croatia, so I had to just go with Portugal in the first round, but wouldn't shock me at all if they lost, which is pretty sad to say. We have Switzerland versus Algeria. Both sides didn't look good in their own group. Switzerland had more wins, but the competition wasn't good. And Algeria got smashed for Argentina, but they didn't do too bad against the other teams. Algeria loves to play a possession style of play, while Switzerland is more of a low block central team. So this game really may not be as fun to watch. I have it as an unwelcoming game to watch, not one I'm looking forward to watching. Just the styles of play, and then the caliber of players just isn't arousing. X factor for Switzerland, in my opinion, will be the goalkeeper. He's their best player this tournament, and he's their best player in general. He's gonna have to be on one today to save them from possibly getting knocked out of the first round. My X factors for Algeria being Mahrez, in my opinion, has been their best player this entire tournament. He's gonna have to be a massive presence in the final third. He's their best attacking player, in my opinion, so we're gonna see him pop off a lot. With all that being said, though, I have Algeria winning a very deceptive 1-0. No one's going to look great in this game. It's really just going to be like probably a late goal. Someone's going to make a mistake defensively, and Algeria will capitalize on it and move on to the next round. Just realized I said Algeria. I meant Switzerland, so redo that. Switzerland, everything I said, just put Switzerland instead of Algeria. So Switzerland wins 1-0. Next up, we have Australia versus Egypt. Now, Egypt had a really great group for their standards. They tied Belgium and got a great win against New Zealand. Now, Australia, however, had a bad group. Bad group performance, in my opinion. They beat a bad Turkey and got thrashed by every other team they played, including the USA. Now, both teams do love to play a low block, so this game may be very, very boring, but I will say the one side does have Mo Salah, the king of Egypt. We'll get onto him in a minute, but first of all, let's think about these X factors. X factor for Australia, I have their goalkeeper. I feel like Egypt's gonna dominate this game more than Australia, and I feel like he will have to be ready to be prepared to be attacked all game. And the X factor for Egypt, I have the Egyptian king himself, Mo Salah. He's the best player they have. He's been really good for them this tournament. Got a goal and an assist to get them past New Zealand. So yeah. However, he is injured apparently. So we'll keep tabs on him, but I don't think it's a bad injury. I think he's just injury management for the old man. But anyway, with that being said, I have Egypt winning I have the game going 1-1. Egypt winning on penalties. Argentina versus Cape Verde. Now, Argentina has dominated their entire group. Granted, it's not easy or it's not hard to defeat Algeria, Austria, and Jordan, but still dominated the bad teams. You only play who's in front of you, and they got blessed with the easiest group stage out of everyone. And Cape Verde shouldn't be any different. Cape Verde's offense isn't really good at all. They really hang their hats on being able to stop people from scoring on them, which works out for them against bad teams. But against Argentina, I just don't see that being the case here. X factor for Argentina, Messi. So far, he's been the only one who consistently can score for Argentina, which against bad teams is fine. If Messi's the best player on the field against Algeria, Austria, Jordan, and Cape Verde, you're fine with that if you're an Argentina fan. But once they play a good team, you ideally will want somebody else to help the 38-year-old man, because eventually those wheels will fall off and he'll come back down to earth as he realizes the competition gets harder. Argentina's going to have to play a lot better, in my opinion, as a team, and not rely on Messi as much against great teams. But they won't have to face that for a while because of how their bracket's shaped up. So, with that being said, though, I have Argentina winning this game 2-0. In the last game of the round of 32 being Colombia versus Ghana. Colombia has looked outstanding in this tournament so far, in my opinion. They won the group, and they outplayed a desperate Portugal who needed that win. In my opinion, Colombia should have won that game, but the guy was offside. I think they should offside. I think they should really change that rule to some extent. How much of an advantage does someone have if their toe is offside? I just don't think that's so much of an advantage to where it has to be called, but it is offside, so it is what it is. They still got first place in the group anyway. But anyway, back to Colombia. Their counterattack is very very, very good. Their players are all locked in right now. Everyone's playing really great ball for them. And I can see this game being a Colombia masterclass versus Ghana. X factors for Colombia, their entire attack, but mainly Luis Diaz. He's their best player. He's going to have to deliver for them in this game to beat Ghana. And for Ghana, I just have their defense. They hang high on their low block, so they're going to have to stay really, really low against Colombia. But Colombia is really good at breaking down teams, so wouldn't be shocked that they got past that low block. And I have Colombia taking this game home 2-0 to end the group of 32. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Make sure to stay positive. Make sure to continue to stay faithful and pray every single day. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Going to be doing a lot more sports stuff and things of that nature. Going over these World Cup games and things of that nature. Just said that twice. Anyway, with that being said, I always want to end the videos like this, man. If you ever strive for anything, if you ever want to do anything in your life, anything of changing it up, whether that is getting into a new job, going to a new college, doing content, doing anything like that, just know that it's okay. At the end of the day, it is you versus you. All right, it's you versus you. So you only can control your own destiny. Like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, it's really you versus you in this world. Only you can control your future. So whatever it is you aspire to do, I highly recommend getting into that and doing that. Anyway, with that being said, this has been Dr.Natrell. This is Halo, and you can schedule your next appointment at the front desk. Hello, this is Dr.Natrell. What brings you in today? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another great video. Today, we'll be going over the round of 32 World Cup matchups. Going over all 16 games, going over who I believe will win, why I believe they will win, things of that nature. Before we get into that, would you please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your opinions and thoughts on these predictions, and let me know who you guys have winning the World Cup. Without further ado, let's get straight into these 16 games.